Hi Susan, today I'm doing episode 3, the brows. So I firstly recommend doing brown brows when you're learning. Brown works with every single wing color. There is not a single wing color brown does not work with. It does not require stencils. You can always use stencils, but stencils are a bit of a pain to keep on the face while you're filling them in. And that's why I really don't like using stencils. I find I get a worse result with stencils. So I only use them when I'm using bold colors like bright reds or deep black. But obviously you can still do the exact same thing I'm doing if you have like a super high coverage concealer and foundation and a crap ton of patience. So I don't like to do cream brows because I find that they just don't look as nice if you do cream underneath. So I'm gonna take a large angled brush. So this is the Morphe M156. It's like a little angle kind of moment. And we're gonna take like a brown shade. I'm taking the Revolution Maxi Reloaded Palette Monster Mattes. So I think it's like 48 shades. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna be taking a fairly light brown shade, the lightest brown shade I'm going to be. So it's this one right here. So you're gonna start at the base. So yeah, stamp it where the top of your contour is, where the top of your nose contour is. You want it to go out. You will decide what type of brow you want. So I'm going to be teaching you like a standard brow, more or less. So it's just kind of like neutral. You can do the eye makeup however you want and it will work. There's no set type of eye makeup that you need to do to complement this brow. And you want to do 2 lines. So I'm following this line out until the edge. When I look directly forward, the edge of like the colored section of my eyeball. The bottom is less important to get correct because the bottom is the easiest one to clean up, especially if you've done the order I've done in the video where I contour, then I do brows. And now we're gonna do the same underline on the bottom. Brows don't need to be twins, they need to be sisters. No, if you look at people's natural brows, no one's brows are even. They just kind of need to be within the realm of believability to be on the same person's face. Yep, so I look straight forward, they're both ending where the colored parts of my eyes end, you use your brush to line that up. They're in line with the edge of my brush, my brow contour. They line up, they line up. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the top of the brow. So now how we're going to do the top of the brow is we're going to go directly in front. Now we're going to do a small line across. So if you look there, it intercepts. Hopefully you can see it. And then from that, we want to go off in the same angle as the original brow from that point. So that little bit was just to make sure that we were directly on top and in line with the brow. Now we're just continuing from where that started and we're going upwards. I actually might thicken it. So here's the thing. You can kind of control the age of how you look with your brows. The thinner the brow, the older you will look. The thicker the brow, the younger you will tend to look. I'm going for kind of like a happy medium. Kind of like, no, it's not. It's a little bit thinner than the angled brush I'm currently using. Anyway, you're going to extend this till it's directly above that point, and you're just going to extend it just a tiny bit, like the tiniest little bit. You just gotta extend it. You're gonna make sure that it's thickest at the front by just a very small margin. Am I blocking? No, I'm not blocking. I'm gonna come up closer for you guys though. Bam. That front looks correct. So you're creating the exact same shape. Exact same process. I feel like I'm kind of flying through because I've done this so much, but just slow down and complete the exact same steps. My steps haven't changed as I've changed with my brows. The time I take to complete them has, though, because I used to be really finicky. I used to have a very unstable hand. Pro tip: if you have an unstable hand, this is perhaps going to be the most game-changing trick that you have seen. Give me one sec. You're going to take your powder puff, right? You're going to put your hand in the powder puff. You're going to rest the powder puff there. You're going to rest your hand on the powder puff. It's going to allow you to rest your hand on your face for stability without messing up your makeup. So you just got to work out how you want to really hold it. I haven't done it in a while. I tend to use my pinky. So you put your pinky on the edge like that, rest it. It's not going to mess up your makeup because it's soft. It's the same texture you used to apply the powder, and it's going to allow you full mobility. You can move your hand back and forth on it without this moving. So it's going to really assist you. However, it will bring up any bake you have going on. So I'm just going to reapply that bake. But yeah, it's really useful. You just need to make sure you reapply the bake if you're doing an actual bake underneath. I am going to sit up just because otherwise you guys can't see properly. Just doing the exact same thing on both sides, evening it out. Those are not even. If one does get thicker, it's honestly most of the time best to just thicken up the other brow. Especially if it's at the top, because cleaning up the top is something you want to try to avoid doing when you can. Obviously, normally my brow's gone a lot cleaner than this because, you know, I'm not trying to make my process overly visible to a camera. Oh, that is a thick boy. That's a thick, thick boy. I'm going to need to clean this up. I'm actually going to clean this up now. The way you clean it up is you take your foundation shade for the top. I don't like clean it up because it's more complex. But then you want to take your little... This is not what I'd use this brush for. It's a flat brush like you'd use for your nose, is what you'd want to use, ideally. And you're just gonna hold it. And you do just want to swipe away the top. And you just want to pat it out, not with a sponge. You don't want to use a sponge, you want to use your finger, because your finger will kind of heat it up, blend it in a little bit more. Okay, that actually blended quite easy. I've been using a lot of blacks in my brows lately, so I'm kind of hyper aware of how precise my brows need to be. And now I'm also just going to thicken it up over here, because it's more about creating the... Oh, sorry, I'm completely blocking. It's more about creating the straight lines, which I stuffed up the most, as opposed to the thickness. No, these are not crazy even, but they are even enough. Your brows are never going to be even no matter what. That's just something you're going to have to face, unless you're using stick-on brows. But they're just not an option for a lot of people. They have their own hurdles. You need to know how to glue them down properly. It's a lot, so I recommend just drawing them honestly. You also have more control over the angles and stuff. Anyway, now I'm going to do the tail. So how I like to do the tail is I start with the top. I decide, okay, do I want the angle to go just be slightly tilted and go upwards towards? That's got to be like, I'm angry. You want to go directly out? That's kind of like, ooh, I'm nice. Or you want it to go down and that's like, ooh, I'm a bitch. I'm gonna go somewhere between bitch and nice. So I'm aiming more towards nice, but still kind of bitchy. So I'm just kind of like, it's not straight across, it's just kind of slightly pointed down. It will look friendly at the end because of how I'm going to do the bottom, because if you make the bottom curved very soft, it's going to make everything look a lot softer and nicer. Not like nicer in terms of aesthetic, also that, but like nicer in terms of, I'm not a bad person, I swear. I'm going to turn towards my like window. I'm hopefully not completely blocking things for you, but I just don't have enough light to do the shape I need. Actually, this angle might be good for you because you're seeing directly on the edge. Also, you want to try to let your brushes do the work. This angle is slanted that way. I'm not going to go that way, I'm going to go that way. I'm going to go towards the shorter bristles. Now, the brows are as even as they're going to get before cleanup. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to deepen up the brow. If the brow is all one color, it looks kind of flat and weird. I like to take a bit darker color, so what I'm going to do is I would take what I used for my contour, which is, what is it? No Beans. I don't want to get the plastic out. I think it's No Beans. It's the second one from the right middle row James Charles palette. And I'm going to use that right on the end. So I'm blurring myself. I don't want to load the tripod because otherwise everything's going to be out of whack. But that's because you need to rest your arm on a table, otherwise you're going to probably lose control. But you want to just go from about halfway because this is a much darker shade, it requires a lot more concentration. But you can already see how this card looks darker than this, and already starting to create a gradient, which is what we kind of want. The bottom doesn't need to be as clean, just gonna blend that, blend. Because the bottom we can clean up a lot heavier than the top. In fact, this one, you're fucked if you fuck up the top. There's barely any way you can get that back, just because you've already got all the powder foundation texture there. You can, if you're really struggling with that, use cream, I guess, but cream just it doesn't work as well and it makes the foundation a lot harder to do as a whole, because you still need the cream to be blended, or it's going to look chunky. Now I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm going to turn towards the window so it's more light, and also you'll get a different angle, which might help you. So I actually kind of lost the arch on this one. So I'm doing two straight lines to really define it. So I'm just going slightly over. And honestly, your brows are going to be shit towards the beginning of when you start doing them. My brows only got good towards like my 20th face in drag. That's why I started getting kind of good at brows. This is probably 75th, maybe more, face. I've been in full face at least 75 times. I've used different products. This is why I find his worked so far. Oh, you do want to hold this quite close when you're doing detail work, because it doesn't really matter if you distribute a lot of product, because it's a brow. It doesn't need to be blended. So this is the M562. It's kind of like a very baby brush. I normally use this for like my, just below the waterline to smoke out shadow. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lightest brown in the James Charles palette, which is the shade, give me a second, let me get this. Punch Me. Anyway, I gotta take the shade Punch Me. I'm going to just kind of blend that down And honestly, because it's such a light shade, it doesn't matter if you go slightly thin. But as I said, always aim to, if you're gonna have to be forced to go out, always aim to get that outage lower than where your actual brow is. And now, there is a very, very, very important reason why I did say to connect this to your brows. Because now we have those two blended. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna take the shade Punch Me. We're gonna run it right through the top of our nose to make it just look like it's part of our nose contour. Directly from nose to brow. Now, to clean up the middle, because the middle has been kind of tainted, we're going to take our powder puff. We're going to take colored powder. I am using the Maybelline Fit Me Shade 10 Fair Light, and we're just going to whack that in the middle. And you know what? Feel free to go just slightly over the brow. It's just going to ombre it that little bit more. And blend the brow, not the rest, instantly inwards. And I'm just gonna actually take powder on my finger to just make sure it's not on a brow. That's the brow pretty much done, except for cleanup, which I'm about to do. I'm just gonna kind of go over it one more time while I'm waiting for the bake to kick in. I'm now going to clean up under the brows, but first I'm going to dust it away. So I'm going to take a little, any kind of fluffy-ish brush. Dust, dust, dust. And now that's our brows done, excluding cleanup. So now to clean it up, you want to take a rounded brush, a flat rounded brush. Now it is very important that you have a rounded brush, or a brush that mimics the shape that you want to create. The biggest thing that I see people doing is trying to like create a round shape underneath with a square brush, or like a square shape with a round brush. That's not going to work. You want the brush to do the work for you. Even amazing makeup artists, like ones that could work with anything, they prefer to let the brush do the work because there's less room for error, less chance of stuffing up. It's just all around better to use an appropriately shaped brush for what you're trying to achieve. This is also going to be the final step in hiding all of our brow. So that's exciting. We're going to go and just stamp and just mildly drag. At the front, and now we're going to drag across. Now, like, my block wasn't the smoothest. It's pretty smooth, but it's not the smoothest. That's because I did the brow I just did for a look. But if you do a performance brow, it's actually going to be better because there are more layers to fill in more gaps. So just keep that in mind. You just want it to create the shape underneath. You want the shape to somewhat line up with the top shape, but you want it to just lag that little bit. So this is where this curve is there. See how it's diagonal from each other? That's going to make it look the most correct. So this is one brow completely done, except I just need to blend down this little bit. So let me quickly blend down that little bit, I guess. I'm gonna take a little beauty blender like I used for my, what was it, my nose? And just blend that right down. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna set that with powder. We're just gonna use a little bit on the powder puff of the colored powder. Because remember, every single time we want a powder over the brow, we add another layer of colored powder. We never, ever, ever use translucent powder on our covered brow. Now I'm just going to quickly get that and flick off that powder that got on the lower surface of the brow. Only a tiny bit did. Fuck. If it does and it's not right on the edge, just take a little of that powder and correct it. Or if you do get like kinda good. Honestly, it's better not have a perfectly defined edge than to like have a white chunk in your brow. Anyway, fixing that one more time, because remember, you can you can conceal over powder as many times as you want, because we're not worried about it looking natural. Just gonna powder that one more time, because I'm noticing the edge is kind of like not fully done. There, done. That's one brow completely done. I'm actually really happy with how this brow turned out, considering I'm doing it in front of a camera. A little uneven there, but I kind of like it. I'm now going to do the other brow. And like, also now you can kind of see, at the beginning of the video, I looked completely batshit crazy. Now I look still crazy, but less crazy. I look like put together crazy. That's what it is. Now, once again, I'm facing the window for my sake, but also hopefully it helps you somewhat. Yeah, these brows are sisters, not twins, but I like them. At the end of the day, I don't like fully even brows. Yeah, they're ideal, but like, I feel like it makes the face look more dynamic if they're not. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want them to be like one up here, one down here, but you want them to not be completely perfect. Otherwise, it looks incorrect despite being the most correct. And the braves are done. So here's the brows up close. Oh, she's a woman. I don't know where that accent came from. Anyway, bye, Susan.